Hey there, and first of all, I'd like to welcome you to this training. Thank you. Awesome. So this is day 2 of the 10-day coaching training course on how to coach and how to get high ticket clients. So in the beginning, we're going to be focused more on the coaching piece, and then probably in the next couple of days, we're going to transition into how do you actually start, enrolling and getting high ticket coaching clients. So today, the topic is how to ask powerful coaching questions. So let's just dive in. So as you can see from this diagram here, there's 2 people here. One is the coach and one is the client. So my first question to you then, which one do you think is the coach and which one do you think is the client? Is the guy in the black shirt the coach, or is the guy in the white shirt the coach? Right. So what's really going on here in this picture? You can see that there's one person here. He's looking at how a person is thinking, and the person on the right-hand side is looking at his problems. So this box on the table represents a person's problems, right? So I'm pretty sure you kind of guessed who is who now. This one is the client, and this one over here is the coach. So the client basically has a dilemma. They want to get clients, but they don't know how. They want to grow a business, but they're stuck. They want to take their life to the next level. They want to reach their potential somehow or other. So this box represents their problems, the situation, basically the issue that they want to be coached on, or whatever it is that they want to be coached on. So the client is basically focused on their problem, right? And their problem is all about basically the content and what's going on and the details and all the different things that are going on. Whereas the coach, he's more interested about how the client is thinking about the problem, right? He's more interested in the individual themselves. So when we're coaching an individual, it's really important to know this distinction. If we're trying to go into the box with them, in other words, if you're a coach and you start going into the box, that's actually not coaching. That's more like mentoring. It's more like kind of counseling or consulting, because you're actually getting in the box with them and you're trying to figure out and solve their problems for them, right? Coaches, we don't need to go into the box. We don't need to find out all the details and what's going on and tell me more about all the problems and stuff like that. We don't need to know that. What we need to know is about the person themselves. How they are thinking, what they are thinking about, how often they're thinking about what they're thinking about, etc. In other words, thinking about thinking. So when we're asking questions, the questions that are most powerful are the ones that help the client to get self-awareness, to help the client get more awareness about how they're thinking about their thinking. Right. So how they're thinking, how they're approaching the situation. In other words, you've probably seen this before, but it's like the iceberg, the iceberg kind of, effect. So this would be the results that people are getting at the top. And then this would be, their behavior, and then on this line here would be basically their emotions, because it's kind of visible, a little bit emotions. Sometimes it's visible, sometimes it's not. And then below the line, you've got thinking. Below the surface, you've got thinking. You've got people's values. You've got people's beliefs. You've got people's identity. Right? And then at the very, very bottom, you've got the true core self. So if you look at a lot of people, when they start asking questions, most of the questions are not very powerful. Why? Because most of the questions are about this. What are you going to do this week? It's just... I'm not saying it's a totally bad question, but it's kind of lame. It's a really tell me what you're going to do this week. It's a very basic question. And not that coaches don't ask that question. Coaches do sometimes ask, okay, what are you going to do this week and when are you going to do it? But very often, most neophyte coaches, they ask that question way too soon. You should not ask, what are you going to do this week? First of all, you need to find out about how they're thinking, what their belief systems are, their identity around this specific topic that they need coaching on. The deeper you go in terms of your questioning, the more powerful the impact and the aha is going to be for your client. So most coaches, when they first start kind of coaching, their questions are normally above the surface. Like, what is it that you want? What's your goal? What's your dream? And that's important because that's all about vision, right? So what's your goal? What's your dream? Where would you like to see yourself in the next 6 months? Can you describe it to me? How would you feel if that happened? That's a very powerful question. Having vision questions is very important. So vision questions are extremely important. But that's often where kind of coaches, new coaches kind of stop and they think, oh, wow, that was a great coaching session because I got them to understand their vision. And that is great. That's the first step. But what's much more powerful once you have the vision is going into the self-awareness questions. Self-awareness questions. So for example, and thinking questions. So that's when you start asking questions about, for example, you can ask so many questions around beliefs. You can ask so many questions around values. You can ask so many questions around identity. And those are the powerful questions that really give those deeper insights that those other questions at the very top don't really give. In fact, if you ask a question like this, okay, what's your vision? And then you go straight to do. Okay, what are you going to do? People will tell you, I don't know. Why? Because you asked that question way, way too soon. So what we need to do is we need to find out the vision. That's very important. And then we need to go beneath the surface to, okay, how long have you been thinking about this for? So that's the thinking question. And in terms of how important is this to you in terms of your priorities in your life? That's a values question, right? How important is it to you? If you achieve this, what would it mean to you? They're values questions. What do you believe about this? Or what could be some beliefs that could be holding you back from achieving that? And then another question would be, what if that belief didn't exist any longer? So there are many questions that you can ask around beliefs and even identity, So identity comes up very often when a person starts to say, I am. So when people are asking identity questions when they use the word I am, right? So there's so many questions you can ask around about identity. In fact, we actually have a model. Let me see if I can have it here. Yeah. So this is basically the questions that we need to focus on, and we want to focus above the line. We want to coach above the line. So these are the questions that we would normally ask. So the first ones are vision and outcome questions. So for example, where would you like to see yourself in the next 6 months? What's your dream? What kind of results do you want as a result of this coaching over the next 3 months or 6 months? If you could turn your life around and have it any way you wanted, could you describe to me what it would look like? How would it feel? What would it sound like? You can even do a questioning where you take people into the future. So they're kind of vision questions. Self-awareness questions are all about, like I said before, values, identity, belief systems, etc. Those questions are extremely powerful. Thinking about thinking, questions about how they're thinking about the topic that they're talking about. Once you've done those two areas, your client is going to get so much insight. And then once you have the insight, then you can go to the next kind of questions, which are planning questions and strategy questions. This is very different from doing questions. Like, what would be an action plan? So if you want to get there in 6 months, what would be the major milestones you would need to achieve in order to get there? If this was a project, what would be the main parts of this project? So that's called planning questions, right? Planning and strategy questions. A lot of coaches miss this piece out. However, when you get this piece right, the planning and the strategy, the coaching becomes extremely powerful, and the actions that need to be done within each strategy become almost self-evident. And the client will automatically know what needs to be done because, so it can take a couple of months to get really good at helping your clients to create planning and strategies. It can take a couple of months of, practice to actually really get that piece right. And like I said, about 95% of coaches, they never even go there. They basically go from vision to action. And that's why most often that kind of coaching isn't that powerful. And a lot of them miss the self-awareness stuff. And the self-awareness is where the deep transformation coaching happens, by the way. It's where you able to help the person to remove the internal resistance that could be stopping them from moving forward. So what is internal resistance? Let me just share with you quickly what that is. Internal resistance comes from when you have two conflicting values or two conflicting beliefs about who you are. And it could be anything to do with identity, values, or beliefs. And what it basically is this. You say that you want to achieve this goal, okay? But there's two parts of you. And this is really about identity, okay? So there's two parts of one part of you believes it's possible. And another part of you believes that you're not worthy, right? So what's happening basically then is you want this thing. Part of you believes it's possible, but then there's another party that believes that you're not worthy and you don't deserve it. And what that actually creates is it creates a cancelling process, because these two things are in conflict with each other, because part of you wants it, but the other part of you believes that you don't deserve it. So that's called misalignment. So when you do the deep transformation coaching, and specifically when you ask powerful questions around deep transformation coaching, what that deep transformation coaching does, it basically brings awareness. You're asking questions to bring awareness to this part of them. And you're also asking questions to bring awareness to this part of them. And through those questions, what happens is there becomes a deep understanding. And then from that deep understanding, with more questions, you're able to actually create an alignment, because what you do is you create like every single identity that we have. So this identity that I'm not worthy, or that I can't do it, or that it is possible, but I can't do it and I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy is an identity, basically statement, by the way. So if you think I'm not worthy, it's a core belief about you. So when you understand and you ask powerful questions, you're able to understand that part of them that feels that's not worthy, and the intention and where that actually comes from. And then by understanding and creating awareness around that identity that I'm not worthy, what happens is normally a huge shift. And in that shift, what happens is there's a release of emotion. And very often when you do this in deep transformation coaching, coaches will normally experience some kind of relief or release, and it can even come in the forms of tears and some kind of like emotional release. And it's actually a positive thing, because what they're actually doing is they're letting go of those old belief systems that came from somewhere in their lifetime experience or education or something, right? So and when that is released, what happens is there becomes alignment. And then what used to be very, very difficult to move towards, you start to flow towards that. So for example, let's say you have a belief that you just don't look good, right? So then if someone says, hey, let's do some video recording and let's post some videos on YouTube, and it's like you've got this really strong belief in your subconscious that you don't look good and people don't like the way that you look. Let's say that's a core belief that came from childhood where people made fun of you or something, right? So whenever you have to go out and face the world, it's like you've got this internal subconscious thing that's like, no, I can't, because people are going to laugh at me, people are going to judge me, people, and that's stopping you from doing that. And why? There's a subconscious mechanism there that's protecting you, because in the past you got hurt because people judged by the way you looked, right? So now what you're doing is anytime you have to go out and be in the public, your subconscious mind will be protecting you, because the subconscious mind doesn't want you to get hurt. Now what happens is it's a protective mechanism, but very often those old protective mechanisms that used to work, they're actually no longer relevant, but we're still holding on to that baggage. So when you ask these powerful, deep transformational coaching questions, what happens is you're able to understand them where they come from, and just very often, just by the awareness of them itself, it makes a shift, and it's like, oh, now I understand. And then there's a resolution, and in that resolution, you believe it's possible to achieve this goal, and you also feel now that you are worthy to achieve it. And then what happens then is you're actually able to flow towards that goal. So now making those videos is now no longer a problem, because it's like, hey, why didn't I do this before? Well, because your subconscious mind was sabotaging you and preventing you from doing it, because your subconscious was trying to protect you. But now your subconscious has learned that you don't need that protection anymore. Now you are safe. So now you are free to flow and move in the direction of your dreams. So this is kind of like a quick overview. Obviously, this topic is very, very deep. But just a few things to watch out for when you're asking questions is, as far as possible, you really want to avoid detailed questions like going into the box with the client. Tell me more about time. Like, so for example, if someone comes to you and says, oh, I really can't manage my time, I'm overwhelmed. Oh, well, and then you'll ask a question like this. Oh, tell me, how does your day look like? And they start going into all the details. It's really, really not an effective place to coach from. Going into the details of the problem. Tell me about your calendar, or problems. Tell me more about your problems, and getting into drama where you ask kind of drama questions. And, you really want to avoid all this stuff below the line. And you want to ask questions which are above the line, which is all about self-awareness, outcome and vision, planning, and at the very end of your coaching session, a little bit of action. Very often people go into action too soon. Don't do that. You want to kind of do that when the plan is there, the vision is there, self-awareness. Then you can think about going into, okay, when are you going to do that? What are you going to do this week? That's the very, very last piece of the coaching. It normally takes about 5, 6, 7 minutes to do that piece. Most people emphasize that, but that's really not the most important thing. The things above that are much more important. So anyway, this is my little training on how to ask powerful coaching questions. I hope you found it useful. If you'd like a list of kind of powerful coaching questions as well, just do let me know, and we'll actually send a couple of. We have some resources where we can send you an example of, thinking question, example of self-awareness questions. I didn't want to kind of go too much into giving you each question one by one today, because I wanted to give you a little bit more bigger picture overview of the principles of asking powerful coaching questions today. So hopefully this was useful. You got a lot out of it. Now, by the way, if you want us to help you to grow your coaching business, two things. If you want us to help you, number one, become excellent in coaching and learn the highest level of coaching that you can learn, specifically the deep transformation coaching. We talked about that today a little bit as well. If you'd like to become a great coach, and also not only that, but you'd like to learn how to grow a really great coaching business and start making, great income from coaching as well, then I'd like to invite you to, underneath this video, you'll probably see there's a button there, or there's a link there, which will take you to actually book a call with me or my team, and we can find out about working together and if I can actually help you a lot faster to achieve your dream of making an amazing coaching business for yourself. So do feel free to book a call with me or my team, and we'll spend about 30 to 40 minutes, 45 minutes, really looking at you, your idea about coaching and whether we can help you or not. If we can help you, we'll do our best. And if we can't, we'll do our best to point you in the right direction. So wishing you a great day. And tomorrow we'll see you in the next training. So tomorrow is day 3's training, and we've got some really nice video lined up for you tomorrow. So see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Take care.